I say to them that the very people they are using to unleash violence on Ghanaian people will soon come back to them. I leave them to posterity. Never again should we witness such an attack on our democracy, where at collation centers, organized thugs are moved in pickups to disrupt the collation process. Mr. Speaker, whereas the MPP accepted the results and even relied on due process of law to get justice, the NDC decided to unleash violence on the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic, has made his name in Ghana and in the sub-region. It is therefore not surprising that the ECOWAS recognized him and gave him a title, Mr. Democrat. Mr. Democrat for the good works he's done for democracy. For over 40 years in public service, he distinguished himself, and the sub-region celebrated him. Mr. Speaker, the 8th Parliament, however, witnessed some unfortunate, sad situations. The loss of our colleagues, Honorable Philip Baswa of Kumewu, Honorable John Ampontua Kuma of Ejiso, as well as some 18 former members of Parliament and a former First Lady, Her Excellency Teresa Kufuor. Mr. Speaker, all these persons who were in public service passed on within the period, and I say, may their souls rest in peace. Mr. Speaker, in spite of the turbulence that the House witnessed in some few instances, my honorable colleagues in leadership and I worked so hard in ensuring that the business was conducted in a convivial and congenial atmosphere. This Parliament achieved notable legislative milestones, passing 41 bills, including Private Members' Bill, a first in our history. We facilitated the passage of 48 regulations and approved significant agreements and reports bolstering Ghana's socio-economic development. Furthermore, the 8th Parliament approved the nomination of His Lordship Justice Eni Yeboah for appointment to the High Office of Chief Justice of the Republic, and after his retirement, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki-Tokonu took over. Mr. Speaker, the House, in all, vetted and approved 9 justices of the Supreme Court and 2 Chief Justices during a tenure. Mr. Speaker, under your leadership, you initiated the Visitors Program and the Citizens Bureau, and this strengthened public engagement and participatory democracy. Parliament also celebrated the 30th anniversary of parliamentary democracy and hosted international conferences such as the 66th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference and ECOWAS parliamentary sessions, which took place in my constituency, Efutu. These events reinforced Ghana's commitment to democratic principles and regional cooperation. This is an outstanding achievement in the quest to enhance our democratic governance. Mr. Speaker, in spite of all these great achievements strengthening the pillars of Parliament, we in the majority have some few challenges in the manner you handle the House. There were times that we felt you were partisan, and there were times that we felt you could prevail on our colleagues better in cooperating with us. There were times that we felt we were let down. But Mr. Speaker, let me also, at this juncture, thank the parliamentary service staff. What would life be without them? What would life be for the MP of this parliament, the member of parliament of this 8th parliament? What would life be without them? They are the quiet councillors who are not recognized but make a lot of input to enrich debate and make us better in our legislative work. Mr. Speaker, from the clerks at table to all those who support you, every parliamentary staff, on behalf of the House.
Members, Second Deputy Speaker to take the chair.
This one too. I'm on the ball. I feel your power.
Yes, leader, you may continue.
On behalf of my colleagues of this August House, I say a big thank you for your service and all you've done to help us become better than we think of ourselves. Mr. Speaker, somewhere last week, when my party was considering who should lead the House, I had cause to be worried over a few issues. An elder statesman spoke to me and told me, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. This is politics. I therefore would want to respond to my respected colleague, Dr. Casey Latefosa, by telling him that he should not take it personal. I know how it is. But if everybody is given the opportunity to tell his story, maybe you realize that others might have gone through worse situations. I do not think that it is appropriate to personalize issues and mention Honorable Godfred Jabu Adami by name for Hansard, as though he personally had an axe to grind. I will plead with you, let bygones be bygones. You know what some seniors on our side know. You know what some seniors on your side know, that everybody wished you well. So, it isn't the case that this government was such a bad government that they wanted you in jail at all costs. So please, let it slide. But I'm particularly happy that you sounded a word of caution that never again should such a thing happen in our body politics. Mr. Speaker, politics should be made attractive for those who want to wholeheartedly serve. Nobody should ever fear leaving government. Nobody should ever fear getting into government. If as a political class we mistreat ourselves, there will be nothing left for the governance of this country. I therefore would want to add my voice to the call you made, Honorable Forson, that we should have a better way of dealing with issues of alleged corruption, where we believe that somebody has committed a crime. We should allow due process of law to take effect. It is on this note that I condemn in no uncertain terms the establishment of a so-called committee called ORA. I hold the humble view that it is a needless committee. It has no constitutional backing, and this committee is only in for personal vendetta. If we allow this committee to continue with its so-called wild goose chase, it will disturb the governance of this country. We don't need any so-called ORA. We have institutions of state. However unhappy we may be with their work, we must support them to do their work. We don't want people to be chasing people into people's houses, going into people's bedrooms, thinking that their government is in office, so they should chase people for so-called ill-gotten wealth. Let's allow Mr. Speaker, they should expect more from tomorrow. This is what you can't take it. I too spoke. Then you've been putting off my mic, disrupting me. I will speak. Yes, it will be longer than this. Mr. Speaker, Ghana has come of age, and I expect my friends in the NDC to know that it is not a populist agenda that makes a nation strong. It is due process of law that makes a nation strong. I regret that members of this hallowed chamber are advocates of this illegal, unconstitutional, so-called body called ORA. Mr. Speaker, let me remind my colleagues that the incoming minority caucus has a mantra, and I will disclose the mantra to them: touch one, touch all. We are not going to allow you to use unconstitutional means to shut us up, to frustrate people, to chase people into their homes. We will stand firm and collective in ensuring that we stop any injustice. Let us allow the laws of the country to work. Mr. Speaker, in 1996, the elections delivered 133 seats for the NDC and only 61 for the MPP. That was a minority of conscience, however many its minority was.
Yes, leader. Hold on. Yes.
Hurry up.
Okay,
You can't threaten us.
leader, let me see the seat to the speaker.
Honorable Wawe. Honorable Wawe. The cameras are seeing what you are doing with your hand.
Mr. Speaker, thank you and welcome back. Mr. Speaker, the MPP incoming minority will not allow the NDC government to use illegalities and unconstitutional means to frustrate and abuse the rights of former appointees of the Akufo-Addo government. Our mantra is touch one, touch all. We will encourage the NDC majority to be guided by its promise to the people of Ghana and rather use its limited time in office, the 4 years, to bring development rather than chasing political opponents. The people of Ghana are expecting the e-levy to be abolished. The people of Ghana are expecting that cocoa prices for the farmer will be increased without delay. The Ghanaian people are expecting that taxes at our ports will be reduced significantly. The people of Ghana expect that only 60 ministers will get appointed into this new government. And the 60 ministers, Mr. Speaker, these are the breakdown. All 16 regions will have one. So if you have 16, you take 16 out, you are left with 44. Of the 44, Mr. Speaker, once upon a time, ASK Bagbin, as he then was, as minority leader at this very dispatch box, said soon and very soon, the MPP will soon see him and know him when he was seconding the motion for Alajete's consideration as Speaker. You haven't seen anything yet. You keep quiet and listen. Soon and very soon, you will see the true politics here. So you relax. But you would hear me. We heard at all. You will hear me. Mr. Speaker, now, if you take away 16 ministers from the 60, the regional minister, you are left with 44. Obiniyem. The 44 left. You can only take about 25 from Parliament. 25 from Parliament. 25 out of the 180 something. Mr. Speaker, there is going to be redundancy in this House. And very soon, Mr. Speaker, the majority leader would experience the moment that, Mr. Speaker, you refer to as majority leader. Look behind you, your back is empty. Very soon, your members who will become redundant will not come into this chamber. And there you will see that the minority that you think we are mini minority will become the majority. Mr. Speaker, I am not a prophet, neither am I a seer. But this thing I can foresee that is going to happen. Mr. Speaker, even the MPs who will not get positions, there are other non-MPs who are looking for board appointments. So you won't even get board appointments. You won't get it. You are going to be more redundant. Now, your foot soldiers will be coming to you for employment. They will be coming to you for support.
Honorable Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker.
we are talking about the 8th Parliament.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Closing remarks
Speaker.
of the 8th
Mr.
Parliament.
Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I told force.
You are talking about.
Mr. Speaker, I told that today is a ceremonial day. I prepared a beautiful ceremonial speech, and I told Leader Emeritus that all the time Atu would depart. He took advantage of a ceremonial speech to lambast my government. And you think I should keep quiet? No, you won't get. I'm in the dispatch box. You see, you guys cannot take it. We sat quietly and allow you to punch us. You can't take it. Mr. Speaker has even come to your rescue. I'm not done. I won't finish now. Sit down. Sit down.
Honorable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, because of your intervention.
Please.
Mr. Speaker, because of your intervention. Mr. Speaker is my father. That is why I'm obliging him. Even of all he did for you people, you wanted to stage a coup against him. Some of you didn't want him to come again. Mr. Speaker, it is true. And if they dare me, I'll mention names. Yes. Some of you didn't want Mr. Speaker back. Of all that he did for you to get power, you wanted to remove him. It took the prayers of our side. It took the prayers of our side to get Mr. Speaker back to this house. It took our prayers to get Mr. Speaker back. Some of you wanted to stage a coup against him. Challenge me. Take a Bible or Quran and use it to defend yourself and let's see. Yes. Mr. Speaker, by the grace of God, you are back. By the grace of God, you are back. It pains some of them. You are back. So, Mr. Speaker, I shall conclude by wishing all of us well. For those of you who are getting out of Parliament, please, the younger ones from both sides of the aisle, please don't give up public service. There are mistakes we all make. Go back to the drawing board, get closer to the people, and relaunch yourself back into public service. For those of you who are retiring, please avail your experience to the young ones. The young ones will need to learn from you, and I will plead with you to make yourselves available. Mr. Speaker, to all colleagues one more time, I know that my time as Majority Leader was not all perfect. For those of you I wronged, anything I did that made you unhappy, I am sorry. Let it slide. Let's move on as colleagues. And let's pray for a brighter day for our Parliament. I thank you all, and I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for guiding me in this, my political journey. God bless us. Merci beaucoup.
Honorable members, it's now my turn to perform a very important function as captured in the new standing orders of Parliament. I come to you in fulfillment of a novel provision in our standing orders. Order 20, Rule 4F, which require me and all future speakers of Parliament to, I quote the relevant portion, give the valedictory address Ghana with humility and sobering reflections. Humility for the opportunity graciously given me to serve you, to serve all Ghanaians and our great nation, Ghana. Honorable members, in view of the exigencies of the current situation, I plead to call on the office of the official report to capture the contents of the entire address as having been read by me. I further call on the office to capture the contents of the annual reports of the parliamentary service and the handing over notes of the clerk to Parliament, Mr. Cyril Kwabena Oteng Nsia. You will have details of the valedictory address in these documents. And so what I intend to do is to give you the broad strokes of the address, even though that is also still lengthy. Was a valedictory address is to give a full report of the 4 years of what we have achieved or not achieved. Let me say how grateful I am to the Almighty God for His divine grace, which has guided my journey and sustained me through the immense responsibilities of presiding over the proceedings of this August House and chairing the meetings of the Parliamentary Service Board. It has been a divine privilege to serve as Speaker of Ghana's Parliament at a time of a historic hung Parliament. And many cases or countries, I should say, including Australia, the United Kingdom, and even Ghana during the tenure of the Third Republic, could not make it to the full hog of the term of the Parliament. But we have succeeded. I talked about being sobering and pensive, because this is a product of an experience of an uncharted path of trials and tribulations, miracles and mysteries, and of accomplishments and missed opportunities. The 8th Parliament, which has been unique in its composition and historic in its journey, will remain a testament to the resilience of our democratic traditions and the collective spirit of our people. Along the way, our Creator, the Almighty God, elevated 2 of the members of the House to His kingdom. You all recall these illustrious members were the honorable members for the Kumewu and Ejuso constituencies, the late Philip Baswa and the late John Ampotua Kuma, respectively. I'm very sure they are in the promised land where the Almighty God Himself is waiting for all of us at the appropriate time. And so I want to emphasize what we did by wishing that their souls rest in perfect peace. Indeed, it is with a great sense of humility, gratitude, reflection, and hope that I, through you, address the people of Ghana today as we draw the curtain on the life of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic. Over the past 4 years, we have together navigated uncharted waters. The 8th Parliament, distinguished by its equal representation between the two major political parties, stood as a bold experiment in collaboration and consensus building. Together, we broke barriers, setting new benchmarks in parliamentary openness, accountability, transparency, and inclusivity. On your behalf, I say, to God be the glory. Honorable members, when you graciously elected me as a Speaker of this Parliament in the early hours of 7th January 2021, I came to take the chair with no doubt in my mind that Ghanaians, from the verdict in the elections of 2020, were calling on Parliament to work in harmony for the greater good of all. In my remarks to Parliament, after I had taken my oath as Speaker, I requested of us all to prioritize, and I want to quote this: consultation, accommodation, and consensus building on matters of public interest. In my letter acceptance speech that followed a few hours later that day, I promised that I will, I quote, submit myself to the will of the House and pledge to serve our dear country, to serve you and all Ghanaians faithfully, and to conscientiously discharge my duties as Speaker of Parliament. I further promise to wholeheartedly put at the disposal of Parliament and the country the store of knowledge, immense experience, and the huge data bank I have accumulated and accommodated over the years. These promises I have endeavored to keep throughout these 4 great years of service as Speaker of Parliament. On 15 January 2021, in a welcome address to the reconvened sitting of the first meeting of Parliament, I touched on 5 core areas of parliamentary life. These include a special message to first-time members of Parliament, advice to members who become ministers of state, the expectations of the people of Ghana, of the 8th Parliament, a focus on the core mandate and mission of Parliament without making the 8th Parliament an obstructionist or a rubber stamp legislature. And finally, on the subject of impartiality of the Speaker. Reflecting on my message in these 5 areas 4 years on, I observed how prophetic the message became. And it still amazes me how those issues I raised have turned out during the lifespan of the 8th Parliament. I am not going to detail that again in this address. But honorable members may recall that I advised the 114 first-time members to, quote, remember at all times that you lead your people best by serving them with respect, with humility, and with diligence. And that ultimately, responsibility for having a successful career in this House rests with you. Honorable members, I must say some of you heeded this call and have been rewarded with a new term in Parliament at the just ended elections. To those of you who have been privileged to return to the 9th Parliament, I repeat the prayer I said 4 years ago. May your career in this House be as long as and as progressive as mine has been. And I hope first-time members-elect who may be watching today's proceedings will take a cue and bear in mind that the day of accountability to the people is a short 4 years from tomorrow, the 7th of January, 2025. Honorable members, in that address, four years ago, I also emphasized the expectation of the people of Ghana of this through lots of bipartisan consultations and cooperation. But I note with regret how the same Parliament allowed what I then described as the unbridled partisanship and partisan polarization that has taken root in our politics and are giving our option of multi-party democracy a bad name. The people of Ghana are the better judges, and I leave that to them. Four years ago, you all recall there was a gripping fear that the 8th Parliament Honorable Member, I want to listen to you when you finish your conversation on the phone. Then I can continue. Four years ago, there was a gripping fear that the 8th Parliament would be either an obstructionist or a rubber stamp parliament. I'm happy today the leaders have given a view which is mixed feelings. Some say it was obstructionist, others say it was a rubber stamp, but others, and I think that's the general view, held the view that we were able to balance the issues better than the earlier parliaments. And I think this is an achievement. I am satisfied that I have not yielded to pressure from any quarters, and I believe I have courageously discharged this assurance to the administration and admiration of many in Ghana and the world over. My impartiality is not in doubt. It's only those who are not objective that will think otherwise. I have endeared myself to be fair, impartial, and firm in the handling of the business of the House over the last 4 years. Now, let me delve into what we have been able to collectively do in this Parliament over the last 4 years, despite numerous debilitating challenges. As I said, I will not go into the details because the handing over notes of the Clerk to Parliament and the annual reports of the Parliamentary Service have copiously referred to these matters. But Ghanaians will remember that we started the 8th Parliament with a backdrop of COVID-19 pandemic, which had members of Parliament starting the journey with frequent medical examinations on them, their families, staff of the Parliamentary Service, and the parliamentary community, such as the medical, the police, fire, ambulance, and other security personnel. And so when you talk about Parliament, it's not only members of Parliament, it's not only the staff of the Parliamentary Service, but all these public servants are counted as part of the institution of Parliament. Without them, we will not be able to perform our functions. You recall how we had to isolate those of you who were tested positive, and how some of you almost lost your lives as a result of this COVID-19 pandemic. We are compelled to, from time to time, direct that some of you and some members of staff should proceed on leave in order to decongest the presence of Parliament. In the midst of all this, we proceeded to organize orientation workshops for both the new and continuing members of Parliament on their roles and responsibilities, the Code of Ethics and Conduct, rules of practice and procedures, the conduct of parliamentary business, privileges and immunities of Parliament, members and officers of Parliament, and how to process and sanitize draft legislation, scrutinize and approve financial appropriations, among others. And I believe we satisfactorily performed these functions. Despite these challenges, the 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic actually hit the ground running with the swearing in of His Excellency the President and providing annual platform for him to deliver the State of Nations address. Apart from scrutinizing annual budgets, after embarking on the post-budget workshops, we also proceeded to hold public hearings of nominees of the President, and it was not only with regard to members of the executive, but also those of the judicial arms of government. But at the end of the day, we had 399 sittings, including today's sitting. We're able to pass 60 bills out of 100 that was presented to the House. 22 of them are still before committees. 6 are at second reading and 4 at consideration stage. 8 of them were withdrawn by the sponsors. Out of the 60 bills that were passed, 5 were private members' bills, setting the baseline record of private members' bills in Ghana. The breakdown is captured in the address. I will not be able to read all because it also captures instruments and regulations, bilateral agreements, contracts, financial, motions, resolutions, and everything that we did as parliamentary business, including the rulings of the Speaker of Parliament. So I want to invite members to take time to go through this address to know at least a bit of what you have achieved within these 4 years. Sometimes these are unknown to the people you serve, and they only see Parliament when the small lenses of the cameras bring to them the few glimpses on the TV, and they think that is what Parliament is made of. So it's important that you take some time to go through yourself to advocate and educate our people. But let me mention some very important legislation we passed. One is the Affirmative Action Gender Equity Act. The other is the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, which did not receive the assent of His Excellency the President. We passed a very important law on the public financial management of this country, and also on criminal offenses amendment bills. The very important ones are those dealing with witchcraft. We have passed a bill against witchcraft. We've also passed a bill abolishing the death penalty. And we have also decriminalized attempted suicide. These are key legislations that have to be brought to the attention of the people we represent here, because they are going to correct many of the ills of our society. And they are groundbreaking bills, which many countries have sought some support to try and emulate our good example. It is because of these bills that we're able to convince the global community to give Ghana a seat in the Human Rights Council of the United Nations. It's unfortunate that some people took a different view, and some of these bills did not receive the assent of His Excellency the President. However, there are some bills that are pending that are equally very important that I believe the 9th Parliament of the 4th Republic will take on board. One is the Constitution Amendment Bill. 2, the International Business and Economic Transactions Bill. 3, the Interstate Succession Bill. 4, the Budget Bill. 5, Parliament Bill. 6, Parliament Transition Bill. 7, Parliamentary Service Bill. 8, Spousal Rights Bill. These are very, very important legislations that are of, or I should say, that need urgent attention. Now, we had to perform an oversight function. That was the place that we had some clashes with the executive arm of government. But it's important for me to note this, that although Ghana's parliament, under this 4th Republican dispensation, has often scored low marks when it comes to performing its oversight function, simply due to the excessive executive overreach. This 8th Parliament has proven that there is hope for proper executive oversight by the legislative branch of government. With the hung Parliament, we have had many instances of the House standing up to the executive, and many government businesses and proposals that were considered to be against the interests of the Ghanaian people were not supported by this House. And so I'm not surprised the majority leader, the leader of the House, itemized some of those businesses. It was not just the minority that stood against it, but some members of the majority also agreed that they were not in the interest of the people of Ghana. And that is how this House succeeded in exercising oversight over the government. We resisted the passage, for example, of the e-levy bill. We even initiated a vote of censure against a minister of finance, and it found favor with members of government who constituted themselves into a group, a very passionate call to His Excellency the President to do what? To remove the Minister of Finance in question. We set up a committee to investigate the COVID-19 vaccine procurement contract, and we investigated a number of petitions. And on your behalf, I want to applaud the work of the Public Accounts Committee. They did a very good job, and very soon it will be disclosed how much has been retrieved by the state that would have been lost if not for the vigilance of the Auditor General Department and led by the Public Accounts Committee. So congratulations, Chair of the Public Accounts Committee, in the person of Honorable James Kruje Aveji. Honorable members, we had 225 committee sittings. The details are in the report. We also filed a total of 1,449 questions. And ministers answered many of them, but not all. We had 109 statements in the first session, 122 in the second session, 113 in the third session, and only 51 in the fourth session. And that gives us a total of 395 statements. Honorable members, let me underscore the debacle that happened on the 7th of January 2021. I'm referring to the unruly behavior of some members of parliament, which caused chaos and commotion in parliament, including the violation of the dignity and aura of parliament by the intrusion of armed soldiers on the floor, and the breaches of the sanctity of a vote leading to my election as Speaker of Parliament. And these are instances that are regrettable. And I want to, on your behalf, apologize to the good people of Ghana to forgive us for our sins. Let me just mention a few developments in the parliamentary service. I'm sure many of you have heard that if for nothing, the parliamentary service staff, as of today, are more motivated, inspired, and hopeful for their future than before. This is because the Parliamentary Service Board, comprising the leaders of both the majority and minority caucuses, have over the period under my leadership have revised, reviewed, and updated the conditions of service for the parliamentary service of Ghana. We have also created opportunities for them to try to build their capacity to make sure that the institution of parliament is enabled to perform its constitutional functions. We were helped in this direction by the Corporate Strategic Plan 2020 to 2024 we inherited from the 7th Parliament. And so we rolled out a new organizational structure and a grading system for the parliamentary service. We're able to elongate the organogram to create a career progression which was imposed by a short-run grading structure of the service. And we met some staff that got stagnated in one position for 20 to 21 years without promotion. We have started a process of looking at welfare support for members of parliament, because under the laws of Ghana, the parliamentary service is to provide some welfare support for members of parliament. This is not covered under Article 71. There are matters that must be made available here for you to be able to perform your duties and handle your responsibilities very well. We have also now finalized the structure, and we are servicing a parliamentary training institute for the Parliament of Ghana. We have completed the construction of the offices for the Parliamentary Training Institute and also a development office, which will provide additional office accommodation to enable us absorb technical personnel to capacitate Parliament to be able to render some new services that are imposed on us. An example is the fact that now we have to provide fiscal responsibility analysis for every bill that is presented to the House. And we need technical support to be able to do this. We have also reconfigured and refurbished the upper part of this chamber block and converted it into a parliamentary museum. And so honorable members are encouraged to just have a sight of it where you can trace the history, the unique history of the Parliament of Ghana from before the colonial intervention up to date. We have restructured the committee system, and now you have 6 cluster organized subject matter areas. We have the finance and economic committees cluster. We have the legal committees, the science and technology. We have the social, infrastructure and security committees, the government, and other few expert areas. We have established the Budget and Fiscal Analysis Office. And we have also improved the IT system. And so very soon, when it is fully deployed, we'll be using e-voting, not your voices again when the question is put. And we believe that the 9th Parliament will have the benefit of this facility. Because of the security situation, we have to up the cyber security system of the House. This is to ring fence and provide firewalls against cyber security attacks. So, honorable members, those of you who were born before computer, the BBC, you have to up your game. Very soon, the Parliament of Ghana will go paperless. And if you were born before computer, nobody will tell you that part of the qualifications of being a member of Parliament is to be a computer literate. Honorable members, it's important for me to also note that we have created a Citizens Bureau as part of the Open Parliament initiative to ensure we maintain a constant link to the people we represent and serve. We established a Law and Governance Division, which is a specialized area where legal services and governance support services will be given to Parliament. And that is why we established units such as the Human Rights, Anti-Corruption, and Investigation units in this House. And these are meant to serve the new committees that we've established, such as the Parliamentary Committees on Human Rights, Legal and Constitutional, Judiciary, the Constitutional Commissions, and the Independent Governance Institutions, the committees that work on corruption, the Ways and Means Committee, the Security and Intelligence Committee. all these new committees need technical support, and so we have made provision for that. It's with all these developments that this parliament was adjudged the most open parliament in Africa. I must say that our interactions with civil society organizations, including the think tanks, have shown a marked improvement in our relationship, and they have provided a lot of technical support for the work we do here. I'm very grateful to all of you, more importantly, to those of you who focus on us providing a comprehensive new standing orders. You'll be surprised the Parliament of Canada reached out to Parliament of Ghana to come and present our new standing orders as part of the illuminating materials for them to also improve on their standing orders. And we sent a team led by the outgoing clerk to do that presentation. And I can assure you that our contacts with them show that they will send even more people to come and learn from us, whilst we also learn from them. These are some of the interventions that have catapulted this parliament to be the first parliament that has been absorbed as an international affiliate member of the National Conference of State Legislators in the United States of America. The only other country or parliament that got that recognition is Quebec in Canada. All the other applicants are still being scrutinized to see whether they qualify or not. And so we have a place of pride in the International Council of the National Conference of State Legislators. And the outgoing or outgone majority leader and veteran member of parliament for Swami, who, together with my good self and the outgoing clerk, represented you in that international council, managed to arrange some interface between the parliaments in America and the parliament in Ghana. And so a lot of you will have the opportunity now to go and understudy the systems. I must say there are very different systems, even in the United States itself, while they will come here to understudy our system, and in doing so, build the capacity of each country's parliaments. We are also given the opportunity to have sister parliaments, and we reach out to the Parliament of Philadelphia, which will connect with us, and on an annual basis, we have exchanges, apart from the parliamentary friendship associations. We also reach out to the Parliament of Maryland, and they have supported us with their good example of a museum, which is part of the information we gathered together with the one in Japan, India, South Africa, and the rest, to model ours, which I referred to earlier on. So a lot has been done, and this year we are being assessed on the Open Parliament Initiative to see whether we still maintain our first position. Let me also say that we have retrofitted the SY Public Affairs Department of Parliament, and we added some new layers, such as public engagement, media relations, and broadcasting departments. I hear some people don't understand why we're talking about broadcasting, but I want to broadcast our proceedings live. We believe that this will ensure better parliament-citizens relationship. And this will give the opportunity for people to learn and understand the nature of the work we do and the value contribution we make to the living standards of the people in this parliament. We have through this been able to open more student parliaments and parliamentary youth clubs in tertiary and second cycle institutions. We have bettered our online presence throughout our websites, mobile applications, and also social and the new media platforms that are now, if you go there, you see how visible and vibrant the Parliament of Ghana is. In celebrating the 30th anniversary celebrations of the Fourth Republican Parliament, we were able to reach out to many regions of our country. And I was privileged to have continued also the Speaker's Breakfast Forum and to add to it the Speaker's Seminal Lecture Series. This has brought a number of our professionals to assist Parliament in its work. On the part of international relations and parliamentary diplomacy, I regret that due to some foot dragging, the friendship associations, parliamentary friendship associations, did not benefit much from this area, evolving area of parliaments. And I pray the 9th Parliament will take this up. But we have still maintained Ghana's leadership in the Global League of Parliaments. And that is how come I was honored to assume the position of President of the Conference of Speakers and Presidents of African legislatures. All the Anglophone parliaments, Arab, Francophone, and Lusophone parliaments. You also recall my presidency as the head of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association International, which led to Ghana hosting the 66th conference of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. And this is the first time Ghana ever hosted this conference. And we had attendance from 182 parliaments in the Commonwealth. We had our veteran MP, Honorable Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, being elected to serve as the vice chairman of the executive committee of this international association. And this is the first in the history of our country. Honorable members, our clerk therefore had the opportunity to lead the clerks at table internationally, and together we worked to sign a number of memoranda of understanding with not only America, but also other parliaments in Africa and other countries. I may only mention just a few. We have with Hungary, Germany, Panama, and I'm happy to say that one of our sons is the husband of the Speaker of the Parliament of Panama. He's from Akwamufie. Yes, just a few days ago, and I think he's still around because he's coming for this transitional period. We also have with KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo in South Africa, We have Alabama in the US. We have with Namibia and Tanzania. I also led delegations for us to visit the Parliament of Pennsylvania, Cote d'Ivoire, the Republic of Benin, and we have established some relationship with them. Future parliaments will benefit from all this work of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic. And so, in conclusion, despite the many successful happenings within the past 4 years, our journey was not without its trials and tribulations. We faced moments of impasse and discord, a natural consequence of our shared but sometimes divergent aspirations. From the logistical challenges of managing an even-numbered parliament to the occasional breakdowns in bipartisanship, our resolve was tested. From the many unpleasant encounters with both the executive and the judicial branches, the resilience of our democratic architecture was measured. However, every challenge was an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to strengthen our democratic processes. Through it all, we have demonstrated that dialogue and mutual respect are indispensable to nation building. And I'll refer all of you to a very well-written and delivered speech by Her Majesty the King, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, to the University of Professional Studies, Accra, as to the process to building a nation. I've told the clerk's office to make copies available to each and every member of parliament. Honorable members, valedictory speeches are meant to serve as farewell communication. Hence, I bid this 8th Parliament and all its players farewell. I appeal to the incoming 9th Parliament to build on the foundations we have laid. Let us ensure the continuity of reforms, and in fact, we've established a reforms office here in Parliament. Let us preserve the gains of accountability, and let us foster unity across political divides. The strength of a nation lies not in the uniformity of its voices, but in the harmony of its differences. I urge the 9th Parliament to embrace the diversity of opinions and work collaboratively to address the pressing needs of our citizens. Leadership, as I have come to learn, is not about exerting authority, but it's about inspiring trust, enabling others, and championing the vision larger than oneself. Public service is different from self-service. And anybody who wants to engage in self-service, you better go to private sector. I am deeply humbled by the trust reposed in me to steer this August House during this historic term. To my colleagues, I am eternally grateful to all of you for your support and counsel. To the Parliamentary Service Board, the Clerk to Parliament, the management, officers and staff of Parliament, your diligence and professionalism have been the bedrock of our successes. And to the people of Ghana, led by the media and I repeat, the media, thank you for keeping faith with us, holding us accountable, and believing in the promise of our democracy. As I bid farewell, I carry with me a treasure trove of memories, lessons, and relationships forged in the crucible of parliamentary service. I wish the incoming parliament wisdom, courage, and the enduring support of the Ghanaian people. May this House continue to shine as a beacon of democracy and a sanctuary of hope for all citizens. To the citizens of Ghana, your role does not end with the casting of a ballot. Stay engaged, hold your leaders accountable, and contribute your voice to the governance of our nation. Some of us were so worried that very loud voices got silenced during these few years. It was so sad. And I want to call on all of you, please stop watching just maybe if I mention, somebody will think I'm targeting him. So I will not go there. But it's important to rather watch what your leaders are doing than just focusing on games and leisure TVs. Democracy thrives when its citizens are active participants and not passive observers. And His Excellency hit that theme when he talked about us being citizens and not what? Spectators. As we look to the future, let us do so with faith in our collective strength. The journey of democracy is not just a continuous one, it's an unending one, marked by perseverance, sacrifice, and an unwavering commitment to justice and equity. Let us rise above our differences, united in our shared purpose of building a prosperous and peaceful Ghana for generations to come. Remember, the greatness of a nation lies not in its wealth, but in the spirit of its people. May God continue to pour His blessings on our homeland Ghana, and may He continue to guide and sustain us on this noble path. Honorable members, may God bless all of you. I thank you for your attention. Honorable members, please, let me do the last one. Resume your seats. Resume your seats.
Jay, what is your number? What is your number? What is your number? You start me from the center. If you not do immediately the house is dissolved. Just if you are compromising, you'll be arrested.
Yes, honorable members, I wanted to.
If Mr. Speaker will be pleased, we may have some constitutional exercise here. Mr. Speaker, now that your valedictory speech is over, the question is whether or not it will be within the confines of law for a motion to be moved for this House to stand dissolved, or that, Mr. Speaker, I want to make a point. Mr. Speaker, please.
Majority Leader, we are in charge.
Mr. Speaker, no, Mr. Speaker, you have always been in charge, but we have to assist you. Mr. Speaker, especially when you have an incoming jurisprudence practitioner.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it's okay. I will want to assist you.
Majority Leader. Please, and just a minute. An unsolicited advice is not taken. An unsolicited advice is not taken. Honorable members, Parliament accordingly stands dissolved at 12 midnight in accordance with Article 1131 of the Constitution.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, no, Mr. Speaker, this matter.
So, honorable members, I proceed to suspend the sitting until
Speaker, you would always
the
use
constitutional.
Mr. Speaker, you are always using experience to beat us. Now you have put in the suspension of the House. That is it. Mr. Speaker, you've used experience to beat us. It's okay. So, Mr. Speaker, the House stands suspended.
Honorable Majority Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker.
Our elders say that before the flood water gets to the sand was already aware the flood water was coming. With this, sitting is accordingly suspended.